Jim. And thanks to everyone for joining my talk today. As mentioned, my name is Andrew. I'm one of the machine learning engineers here at Varo Bank. And again, I focus most of my effort and time on the feature platform as one of the primary owners of that part of the platform. So if you don't know much about Varo Bank, I'm happy to go through it a little bit. Varo Bank is the first nationally chartered consumer tech bank in the US, which means we are our own bank. We went through the whole regulatory process. So every 6 months we get audited by the OCC, but we do maintain a bank charter, and that allows us to have more freedom in terms of what kind of products we're able to offer directly instead of having to go through partners or other banks for our services. We are built from the ground up to focus on the needs of Americans who are striving to get ahead. So a lot of our products are more focused and targeted towards trying to help people who are kind of trying to just to make ends meet, maybe helping them to kind of bridge the gap in between their paychecks and to really help them to start building their savings and to have a brighter financial future. We also strive to combine the agility of being a tech company while also having the security of a regulated financial institution. So we are FDIC insured with all of our savings accounts. That's really what we're striving to be like. And we've been recognized by a number of different types of lists in terms of being fastest growing company or top fintech companies. If you'd like to learn more about Varo, do feel free to join us at our website, varomoney.com, or you can follow us at Varo Bank on social media. So here are a number of products that we do try to offer to help our customers get ahead. The first one is we offer a secured credit card that will allow our customers to build credit as they're using the card. Our high yield savings account has one of the nation's highest APYs. And then we offer two different lending products that we try to get ourselves ahead. The first one is more of smaller dollar amounts to, again, as I mentioned before, help to bridge the gap in between paychecks. But we do also offer a personal line of credit that can go up to $2,000. So you can see that as we are a typical bank, a lot of the kind of common and typical use cases for machine learning do show up on our side as well. You can see this as lending, risk, fraud detection. We do also have our machine learning efforts going into other fields as well, especially in terms of marketing, trying to find suitable consumer or customers that will be able to join us in terms of our product, how we can improve things, or in terms of operations. And that's more or less looking at like how we're handling disputes with our digital banking representatives. All right, so before I go any further, I kind of just want to talk a little bit more about how data flows within Varo, just so that we kind of have a better understanding there. There are two primary types of data that flow at Varo, and as you can kind of guess, a lot of other companies deal with this. It's batch and streaming data. The batch data typically originates in our existing microservices, and each service in of itself contains its own Postgres database. And of course, within that database, you can have multiple tables. We use change data capture, or CDC, to detect the changes to these tables, and then using kind of a combination of Airflow pipelines and glue jobs, then we are grabbing that data, processing it, and then we're putting it into the data lake. Somewhat similarly, at least in terms of the beginning, is how our streaming data works. So here, the microservice is still generating events, and they are still going into the Postgres database, but into a specific table that we call outbox event. And once again, we're using CDC to detect those changes in that table. And from there, we use the Bezium to then pick up those changes and publish them directly to Kafka, after which different other services can then listen to those events and use them as needed. So I didn't include a separate slide for this, but the original implementation of the feature store at Varo before I joined had two different ways of handling it for the batch and the streaming side. And the batch side would rely on having these SQL queries that were written in YAML files. And the streaming features were handled by a separate microservice that we had written just to handle those. And so it made the barrier for entry relatively high, and it made it pretty hard for people to kind of come in and create features. And so feature creation was velocity was low, and we were also uh, because of that not able to generate new models as quickly. So for the next version of our feature platform, we partnered with Tecton, which, as you know, came out of Uber and Michelangelo's team, which gave us the ability to combine our various types of data sources together using the same style of code and in a single repository. So as you can kind of see here in this graphic that I've included from Tecton's website, you are able to combine the streaming and the batch together and even take uh, data from the request time and convert those all into different features that you can then use for machine learning use cases. And this really fit in with the goal of our team, where we were trying to democratize the so being able to have it so that basically anybody who knew how to write a SQL query to on top of the data to generate their features would be able to come into our platform and start creating new features. Um, as long as they had a little bit of extra guidance on the Python part if needed. Uh, and Tecton really stood out to us as a managed service. They had a number of really nice features built in. It's very easy to spin up materialization jobs to generate new feature data. The discoverability was quite nice with their feature catalog that was built into their web UI. They provided feature value monitoring a little along the way, but that really helps us to notice like if the materialization job has gone wrong, we're seeing a bunch of null values, then we can go and try to fix the issue before rematerializing the data. And then also they offer low latency features serving at scale. So this kind of takes us back to how do we use the feature store here at Varo? And you'll see here that there's a lot of overlap with what I had originally put in terms of the machine learning that we do at Varo, maybe with a couple of extra additions here. And one of them, which was relatively unexpected to our team, but a welcome surprise, I would say. And that is for app UI elements. So if you take a look at this screenshot, so this is for, as I mentioned before, our Varo Advanced product, which is kind of that short-term, small amount loan to kind of bridge the gap in between different paychecks. You'll see here on the screen that these different tiles that I've highlighted in red here, the values that are in those tiles is actually powered by data from the feature store. So, and the way that you can think about it is that when we create a feature vector for a specific use case within Tecton, it can just be those four values. We see this as a way to allow for greater personalization for each customer so that they're able to get the specific values that they need in order to inform them what kind of actions they should be taking on the app in order to increase their credit limit for that particular time period. So whether it's increasing the amount that they're putting in for direct deposit per month, or whether or not they're making on-time payments for their previous loans, or if they're keeping their account balances positive, these are all things that we're able to customize specific to that particular customer. And the nice thing is that we're able to support updating these tile data in near real time via streaming features if needed. So I am going to go pretty quickly through this as well, but I know I have some time. Um, I just want to kind of leave off with a couple of the numbers that we have at this point. To date, we've been running with Tecton for around 2 to 3 years now, and we are at over 1,500 features built at this point. And this is via close to 30 contributors at this point. The number might actually have increased since the last time I updated this. But this is really in line with how we kind of view the feature platform, being able to allow just about anybody to come in. So we've had data scientists, data analysts, and even product managers have come in with some knowledge of SQL. They've been able to build their features and start using them in their own use cases. To date, we've also connected almost 70 different data sources. So these are gowning data like tables, Kafka streams, And we think that we're just going to keep increasing them as we go. From the serving perspective, we are handling roughly 7 million requests per day from our own feature service wrapper that we have around the feature store. And our P99 latency is around 20 milliseconds. So we think that that's relatively quick. If we go down to the P90 or P95, that gets cut in probably half, even more. So probably 7 to 10 milliseconds. One other number that I did not put in here was that we do have a lot of feature sharing between different use cases. And so more than half of the feature views that we create that are being used in a feature service are being used in more than one. So this is really another big goal of feature stores, as you know. We want to be able to reuse features whenever possible so that we're not kind of reinventing the wheel and potentially getting some inconsistencies between different feature definitions. If we have one fixed definition that we're able to use across different use cases, then we're really saving a lot of time and helping to increase model development velocity. And so we're really glad that we're able to cooperate and work together with Tecton to build this feature platform. And we're able uh, to allow people to come in and develop their own features and kind of reducing the overall complexity of compared to how it was before, and thereby increasing the velocity in our current day. So thanks. I'm happy to take any questions.